region called the Middle East, the Mediterranean. Is Turkey an Asian, a European, a Balkan, a Mediterranean, a developing, or a NATO state? It is shown becomes obvious that different criteria for identifying the regions, while altogether different regional configurations. First of all, geographical criteria. Making a nation, it must be made a geographical criteria, grouping nation states on the basis of their location in continents, subcontinents, archipelagos, etc. For instance, Europe and Asia. Number two, military political criteria, grouping nation states on the basis of their participation in alliances or one of the basis of the ideological and political orientation. For instance, the communist bloc, the capitalist bloc, NATO, the Warsaw Pact, and the Third World. They are the military political criteria. Number three, economic criteria, grouping nation states on this basis of selected criteria for economic development, such as gross national product and industrial output. For instance, industrialized various transitional versus less developed state. Number fourth, transactional criteria, grouping nation states on the basis of volume and the frequency of the exchange of people, goods, and services, such as immigrants, tourists, trade, and masses. For instance, the United States of America and Canada, with Western European market area, the East European Soviet market area. One can group countries into regions according to a number of other criteria as well. For example, language, region, culture, population, density, and climate. That are the elements of the regional group of countries. Again, more example: language, region, culture, population density, and the climate. Regional organizations. Regional organizations can be conveniently divided into two major types, and perhaps a third hybrid type. The first type is a regional defense organization such as North Atlantic Treaty Organization or NATO, North Atlantic Treaty Organization or NATO, the Central Treaty Organization CENTU, and the Warsaw Treaty Organization or Warsaw Pact. The second type is communist economic organizations, also refers to in the literature as a functional organizations, such as the European Communities, the Council of Mutual Economic Assistance, and the Latin America Free Trade Association. Example of the hybrid type of general purpose institutions such as Organization of American States, OAS, Organization of American States, Organization of American Unity, OAU, the Arab League, and the British Commonwealth of Nations. Hybrid organizations contain elements of political and economic and occasionally military and cultural cooperations. विभिन्न कारणरू राष्ट्र गुड़िक सेमाने निजर संगठन को मजबूत करिले और राष्ट्र गठन करने को बाध्य हेले। अमेरिका कथा कहतु, ब्रिटिश कथा कहतु, अरब एमिरेट कथा कहतु, एमाने समस्त किछि ना किछि स्वार्थ दृष्टि राष्ट्र को पुनर्गठन करथिले डिफरेंट अप्रोचेस टू इंटीग्रेशन नाउ different approaches to integration. First one, the federalist view. The federalist view. The federalist school of thought consists of integration in legal and institutional terms. It views integration as an end product rather than a process. It stands for a political union among sovereign states. The supporters of World Federation belong to the school of the thoughts. Number two, the communication model of regional integration. The communication model of regional integration. Communication theorists like Carl W. Dess conceptualize integration as the process of a flow of integrational transactions which eventually can and will lead to the development of security communities or an integrated socio-political systems. कार्ल डब्ल्यू डस तांकर मतामत रे से कहिले कोन सिक्यूरिटी कम्युनिटी मानकर निरापत्ता एंड इंटीग्रेटेड सोशल पॉलिटिकल सिस्टम राष्ट्र रे अंतर्भुक्त थिबा नागरिक मानकर सामाजिक राजनैतिक कार्यावली को यही इंटीग्रेट माध्यम रे नियंत्रण करा जाय था. नंबर 3, the new functionalist view of regional integration. The new functionalist view of regional integration. The third school of the thought is represented by the new functionalist. They view integration as both a process and an outcome. They prefer to emphasize cooperative decision making process as the hallmark of integration. Next, impact of regional integration on the state. First of all, at this stage, it is important to analyze the impact of the growing influence of regional integration on the working and the nature and the functions of the state. How far it has eroded the element of sovereignty of the state. Is it intact or has comprised certain features of these important integration of state to meet its regional obligations? Let us have a look at these important questions. First one, effect on the nature and the functions of the state. It is important to understand how a region is formed, integrated. Palmer and Perkins defines region as invariable an area embracing the territories of 3 or more states. These states are bound together by ties of a common interest as well as of geography. They are not necessarily contiguous or even in the same continent. A region in international relations is not essentially a geographic area of or unity. A region may be conceptualized in terms of area or military groups or economic grouping unity. The concept of organizing states of an area or states with similar needs or with common perceptions regarding the issue or problem or goal, and with the view of a secure measure for the securing the desired objectives, can be described as the concept of regionalism, and the organizations that is originated under the concept of regionalism is called regional organizations. ଯେତେବେଳେ ପ୍ରତ୍ୟେକ ଆଞ୍ଚଳିକ ସ୍ତରରେ ସଂଗଠନ ପ୍ରସ୍ତୁତ କରି ନିଜର ସୁରକ୍ଷା ଦୃଷ୍ଟିରୁ, ରାଜନୈତିକ ଦୃଷ୍ଟିରୁ ଏବଂ ଅର୍ଥନୈତିକ ଦୃଷ୍ଟିରୁ ଏକ ମହା ମେଣ୍ଟ ବା ଗଠନ କରିଥାନ୍ତି, ତାକୁ ରିଜନାଲ ଅର୍ଗାନାଇଜେସନ ବୋଲି କୁହାଯାଇଥାଏ। ଏହି ରିଜନାଲ ଅର୍ଗାନାଇଜେସନ ବିଭିନ୍ନ କ୍ଷେତ୍ରରେ ପ୍ରତ୍ୟେକ ଆଞ୍ଚଳିକ ସ୍ତରରେ ଲୋକମାନଙ୍କୁ ସାହାଯ୍ୟ କରିଥାଏ। In such a scenario where states themselves are partners in including or forging a regional arrangement, the question as to what impact does it have on the nature and functions of the state can be our answer only in a positive manner. That is, such as arrangement does not at all jeopardize their national sovereignty. In the modern period of history, with the conceptualization and practical establishment of sovereign states that comprise the family of nations, the trend towards the integration. Next point, effect on the sovereignty and the regional obligations. Effect on sovereignty and regional obligations. With the development of a global system of states.
सर ठीक है आउटरे पॉइंट
Next point, effect on sovereignty and regional obligations. Okay, it is international forces. It is often said which limit the choices facing the state or make it impossible for a particular national policy to be pursued. Leaving aside for a moment in the accuracy of such claims, it is useful to keep in mind a distinction introduced earlier between de jure and de facto sovereigns. De jure and de facto sovereign. Sovereign chapter आपण माने पढिचंती जे de jure and de facto हला रक्तगत संपर्क बा पारिवारिक संपर्क अदर आमे नागरिकत्व ग्रहण करिथाउ। गोटे देश भारतर लोक से भारतर नागरिक ग्रहण करि पारे बा पृथ्वीर जे कोनसी देशर नागरिकत्व ग्रहण करि पारे। तेणु एई दृष्टिरु गोटे राष्ट्र रे नागरिक हबाकू हेले आमकू विभिन्न जो सिस्टम अछि से सिस्टम सब अनुसंधान करिबाकू पड़िबो। This distinction is sometimes made in order to separate the problems facing state due to loss of aspect of legal sovereignty from the problem which stem from a loss of political and economic autonomy. We shall examine how far the regional integration and obligation arising out of such arrangement has eroded the sovereignty as understood in legal sense or the loss of autonomy. With the development of a global system of states characterized by the existence of hegemonic powers and power blocks, the origin of a number of regional organizations have sometimes appeared. The undercut the state's authority and integrity. ରିଜନାଲ କ୍ଷେତ୍ରରେ କେତେକ ଆଞ୍ଚଳିକ ସଂଗଠନ ଗୁଡ଼ିକ ଅଛି, ସେଗୁଡ଼ାକୁ ମୁଁ ବର୍ତ୍ତମାନ ଡିସ୍କସନ୍ କରୁଛି। ଇମ୍ପୋର୍ଟାଣ୍ଟ ରିଜନାଲ ଏଗ୍ରିମେଣ୍ଟସ୍, ଫାର୍ଷ୍ଟ ଅଫ୍ ଅଲ୍ OAS, Organization of American States. Organization of American States, OAS, the Organization of American States is a regional agreement which was established in 1948. In accordance with Article 1 of the Charter of the said organization, it is a regional agency in accordance with the provisions of the United Nations Charter. So, far as the question of collective security is concerned, Article 24 of the Charter, UN Charter, Article 24 of the UN Charter of the said organization lays down the following: every act of aggression by a state against the territorial integrity or the inevitability of the territory or against the sovereign or political interdependence of an American state shall be considered an act of aggression against the other American states. In 1965, a conference of American states was held Rio de Janeiro, wherein it was declared that it was essential to force a new dimensions for the inter-American system and imperative to modify the working structure of the organizations of American states, as well as to establish in the charter new objectives and standards for the promotion of the economic, social and cultural development of the people of the hemisphere. 1965 रे कॉन्फ्रेंस रे जेतबेले हेतला हला, ता पूर्व मध्य गोटे कॉन्फ्रेंस 1948 रे यूएन चार्टर रे ऑर्गेनाइजेशन ऑफ अमेरिकन स्टेट बा अमेरिकन स्टेट मानकर गोटे ऑर्गेनाइजेशन हेतला। तापरे रियो डे जानेरो कॉन्फ्रेंस मध्य एई ऑर्गेनाइजेशन पुनर्गठन करा जायतिला। এই সংগঠন উদ্দেশ্য ଥିଲା ଅର୍ଥନୈତିକ, ସାମାଜିକ, ସାଂସ୍କୃତିକ ଡେଭଲପମେଣ୍ଟ, ଅର୍ଥନୈତିକ, ସାମାଜିକ ଏବଂ ସାଂସ୍କୃତିକ ଡେଭଲପମେଣ୍ଟ। Now, second, Arab League. The Arab League was established in 1945. The chief objective of the Arab League is the maintain and further unity, territorial integrity, political independence of the Arab states, Egypt, Iraq, Syria, South Arabia, Lebanon, Libya, etc. Arabian country गुड़िक होचंती गल्फ कंट्री। यही कंट्री गुड़िक मरुभूमि अंचल, तेणु यही देश गुड़िकर स्वार्थर सुरक्षा पाई आरब लीग गठन करिसंती 1945 मसीह रे। से देश गुड़िक हेले इजिप्ट, इराक, सीरिया, साउथ अरेबिया, लेबानन, लिबिया एटसेट्रा। ए सब होचंती गोटे गोटे इस्लामिक स्टेट। तेणु इस्लाम मानकर स्वार्थ दृष्टि गल्फ कंट्री मानकर स्वार्थ दृष्टि आरब लीग गठन करा जायछि। नेक्स्ट, सेंट्रल ट्रीटी ऑफ ऑर्गेनाइजेशन सेंटू। सेंट्रल ट्रीटी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन सेंटू। Central Treaty Organization is also properly known as the Baghdad Pact. Baghdad Pact रे ए सेंट्रल ट्रीटी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन सृष्टि होइतिला। बिकॉज It was established in 1955 at Baghdad, Iraq. ଇରାକର ବାଗଦାଦ ସହରରେ 1955ରେ ଏହି ଚୁକ୍ତି କରାଯାଇଥିଲା। ଇରାକ, ତୁର୍କୀ, ବ୍ରିଟେନ, ପାକିସ୍ତାନ ଇତ୍ୟାଦି are its members. The Charter of the Central Treaty Organization makes it clear that it has been established in accordance with the provision of the United Nations Charter regarding the individual or collective self-defense contained in Article 51 of this chapter. Next, Organization of African Unity, OAU, Organization of African Unity. It was established in 1963 at Addis Ababa in the Conference Independent South States of Africa. ଆଫ୍ରିକା ରାଷ୍ଟ୍ରମାନଙ୍କୁ ନେଇକି ଆଦିଆବା ଇଥିଓପିଆର ଆଦିଆବା ଠାରେ 1963ରେ ଆଫ୍ରିକାନ ୟୁନିଟି ଗଠନ କରାଯାଇଥିଲା। The chief objective of the organization is to encourage unity development, territorial integrity, and political integration, political independence of African states, and make joint efforts for ending colonialism in Africa. ଆଫ୍ରିକା ହେଉଛି ଏକ ଗରିବ ଦେଶ, ଥାର୍ଡ ୱାର୍ଲଡ କଣ୍ଟ୍ରି। ତେଣୁ ଏହି ଦେଶ ଉପରେ କଲୋନିଆଲିଜିମ୍ ପ୍ରବଳ ମାତ୍ରାରେ ଦେଖିବାକୁ ମିଳିଥିଲା। ତେଣୁ 1963 ମସିହାରେ ଯେତେବେଳେ ନୂତନ ଭାବେ ସ୍ୱାଧୀନ ହେଲେ, ନିଜ ସ୍ୱାଧୀନତାକୁ ବଜାୟ ରଖିବା ପାଇଁ ଆଫ୍ରିକାର ଅର୍ଥନୀତି ବୃଦ୍ଧି କରିବା ପାଇଁ ଆଫ୍ରିକାନ କଣ୍ଟ୍ରି ମାନେ ଗୋଟେ ୟୁନିଟି ଗଠନ କରିଥିଲା, ତାର ନାଁ ହେଉଛି ଅର୍ଗାନାଇଜେସନ ଅଫ ଆଫ୍ରିକାନ ୟୁନିଟି। ନେକ୍ସଟ, ନର୍ଥ ଆଟଲାଣ୍ଟିକ ଟ୍ରିଟି ଅର୍ଗାନାଇଜେସନ, ନାଟୋ। North Atlantic Treaty Organization was established on April 4, 1949 at Washington in the Conference of 12 Nations. 1949 ମସିହା ଏପ୍ରିଲ 4 ତାରିଖରେ ୱାଶିଂଟନ ଠାରେ ଗୋଟେ କନଫରେନ୍ସ ହେଇଥିଲା, ସେଇଟାରେ ହିଁ ନାଟୋର ଜନ୍ମ ହୋଇଥିଲା। ଏଥିରେ 12ଟି ଦେଶ ଯୋଗଦାନ କରିଥିଲେ। ବେଲଜିୟମ, କାନାଡା, ଡେନମାର୍କ, ଫ୍ରାନ୍ସ, ଇଟାଲୀ, ଲକ୍ଜମବର୍ଗ, ନେଦରଲ୍ୟାଣ୍ଡସ, Britain, and Pakistan. Once again, the member of the NATO country: Belgium, Canada, Denmark, France, Italy, Luxembourg, Netherlands, Britain, and Pakistan are its members. The North Atlantic Treaty Organization may be called the defensive organization against the Soviet bloc. As a matter of fact, the Western states that established it to arrest the expansion of communism, Greece and Western Germany, also became its member in 1952 and 1955 respectively. The organization, however, received the setback in 1966 when France left the organization. 1952 ମସିହାରେ ଜର୍ମାନୀ ଏବଂ 1955 ମସିହାରେ ଗ୍ରୀସ ଏଥିରେ ସଦସ୍ୟ ହୋଇଥିଲା, କିନ୍ତୁ 1966 ମସିହାରେ ଫ୍ରାନ୍ସ ଏହି ସଦସ୍ୟରୁ ଓହରି ଯାଇଥିଲା। The chief objective of NATO was to strengthen the military power of the Western countries under US control against the Soviet or the Eastern European bloc, and to encourage economic collaboration among the participant countries. Actually, ନାଟୋର ଜନ୍ମ ହୋଇଥିଲା ଆମେରିକାର, ଏହାର ମୁଖ୍ୟ ଥିଲା ଯେ କି ସୋଭିଏତ ୟୁନିୟନ ବ୍ଲକ ମାନଙ୍କୁ ଚେକ୍ ଦେବା ପାଇଁ ନାଟୋର ଜନ୍ମ ହୋଇଥିଲା। ନେକ୍ସଟ, Warsaw Treaty or Warsaw Pact. Warsaw Pact was established in 1955 by Bulgaria, East Germany, Hungary, Poland, Romania, and Russia for a period of 30 years. The headquarters of this organization in Moscow. It is clear from the preamble that this organization has been established to set up the system of collective security for East European states. NATO against Warsaw Pact 1955 ରେ ସୃଷ୍ଟି ହୋଇଥିଲା। ଏଥିର ମୁଖ୍ୟ ଥିଲେ ସୋଭିଏତ ରୁଷ। ଏହା ସହିତ ବୁଲଗେରିଆ, ଇଷ୍ଟ ଜର୍ମାନୀ, ହଙ୍ଗେରୀ, ପୋଲାଣ୍ଡ, ରୋମାନିଆ ଏସବୁ ଏହାର ସଦସ୍ୟ ବନ୍ଧୁ ରହିଥିଲେ। A meeting of the political consultative committee of the Warsaw Treaty was held in the Bucharest on November 25, 1976 by general agreement of the member states of the Warsaw Treaty. A treaty coming was Article 6 Constitution was adopted. ତେଣୁ 1976 ମସିହାରେ ପୁନଃ ଏକ ସମ୍ମିଳନୀ ଦ୍ୱାରା 6ଟି ଧାରା ସମ୍ବଳିତ ଏକ ସମ୍ବିଧାନ ପ୍ରସ୍ତୁତ କରିଥିଲା। ନେକ୍ସଟ ୟୁରୋପିଆନ୍ ସମିଟ୍ ଇନ୍ ହେଲେନ୍ସିକ୍। European Summit in Helsinki. A brief reference may also be made here to the European Summit held in Helsinki on July 30, 1975. ଜୁଲାଇ ମାସ 30 ତାରିଖ 1975 ମସିହାରେ ହେଲେନ୍ସ୍କି ଠାରେ ଗୋଟେ ୟୁରୋପିଆନ୍ ସମିଟ୍ କରାଯାଇଥିଲା। Top ranking leaders of the 35 nations including the USA and the Soviet Union attended the summit. ଏଥିରେ ବିଶ୍ୱର ବଡ଼ ବଡ଼ ଦେଶ ସହିତ ଆମେରିକା ରୁଷିଆ ସହିତ 35ଟି ଦେଶ ଯୋଗ ଦେଇଥିଲେ। The final act of the Conference on the Security and Cooperation in Europe was signed in the Helsinki on August 1975. The final act is divided into what has become known as 3 baskets. Basket 1 deals with the questions relating to security in Europe and comprises a declaration of principles guiding relationship between the participating states. Some related text concerning implementation of the principle of abstain from the threat or use of the force and proposal for a new system for the peaceful settlement of the disputes, as well as some modest confidence building measure entailing notifications of military maneuvers and a voluntary exchange of observers at such Monscover. Basket 2 deals in general items with cooperation in the field of economics. In basket 2 terms with the cooperation in the field of economic, science and technology and the environment. Final basket 3 with cooperation in humanitarian field. It is a very important point of the basket 3 with the cooperation in humanitarian fields. It is a peaceful coexistence between the human beings. It is a very good point of this treaty. Next, South Asian Association for Regional Cooperation. South Asian Association for Regional Cooperation, SARC. South Asia has been exploited for a long time by developed nations. It is rich in raw materials and is a densely populated region of the world. This region, remember, poor, even the defense of expenditure has been going up steadily. Therefore, in order to curtail the expenses on arms and armies and establishing peace and mutual cooperation in the region. The late president of Bangladesh, Zia-ur-Rahman, the late president of Bangladesh, Zia-ur-Rahman, prepared a draft paper and circulated in among the 7 countries in 1980. The draft paper called the closer cooperation among countries of South Asia in order to promote closer economic and cultural link. These countries are Bangladesh, Bhutan, Nepal, Maldives, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, and India from 1981 to 1985. They are the member of the SARC. Again, the member of the SARC, Bangladesh, Bhutan, Nepal, Maldives, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, and India. They are the member of 1981 to 1985. The first member. Its headquarters is Kathmandu. Its headquarters is Kathmandu. Okay. Next organization, Association of Southeast Asian Nation. Association of Southeast Asian Nation, ASEAN. The Association of Southeast Asian Nations was formed by the government of 5 nations through the Bangkok Declaration on 8th August 1967. The foreign secretaries of ASEAN nation signed the declaration. The member of the states are Thailand, Indonesia, Philippines, Singapore, Malaysia. Hello? 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 Any problem? Now I am discussing about the ASEAN groups. The member of the ASEAN groups are Thailand, Indonesia, Philippines, Singapore, Malaysia, Burma. They are formed in 1967. After then, it is Burma joined in this group in 1984. The aim of the association was to accelerate economic progress, foster cooperation, and maintain peace and stability in the region. So there are many regional associations. There are many associations are comprises for their safety, for their economic, military, and cultural based. European Union. You also heard the organization European Union. The concept of integration has the very successful and fruitful trade of the Western Europe through the organized, institutionalized, and the systematic cooperation and the coordination of the economic and industrial policies and decisions. The state of Western Europe have been successful not only in making good the heavy loss they suffered between 1914 to 1945, because First World War and Second World War which were affected, but also have been successful in developing their economy in a big way. The Western integration, particularly the economic integration of Western European states, afford the worth developing model for the rest of the world. Next, the Council of Europe 1949. The Council of Europe. The purpose and objective of the Council made in the abundantly clear that matters relating to the defense did not fall within the scope of the Council, and its main purpose was to achieve the greater unity between the member of the purpose of safeguarding and realizing the idealistic and principle which are their common heritage and facilitating their economic and social progress. Council of Europe 1914 ରେ ଗଠନ ହେବାର ମୁଖ୍ୟ ଉଦ୍ଦେଶ୍ୟ ଥିଲା କ'ଣ ନା କମନ ହେରିଟେଜର ସୁରକ୍ଷା, ସୋସିଓ ଇକୋନୋମିକ ପ୍ରୋଗ୍ରେସ କରିବା, इंटरनेशनल सिक्यूरिटी आंतर्जातिक निरापत्ता क्षेत्र रे एई काउंसिल ऑफ यूरोप अधिक गुरुत्व देइथिला। मिलिटरी इंटीग्रेशन ऑफ वेस्टर्न यूरोप। नेक्स्ट, मिलिटरी इंटीग्रेशन ऑफ वेस्टर्न यूरोप with a view to lessen their independence upon the USA for their defense needs. The West European states decided to have several formal security arrangements. Important among them were the Dunkirk Treaty. The very important treaty is Dunkirk Treaty 1947, the Brussels Treaty 1948, the North Atlantic Treaty Organization 1949, the European Defence Committee 1952, the Western European Union 1955. All these bodies were engaged in promulgating the concept of the defense of Western Europe, विशेष करी पश्चिम यूरोप रो तथा अमेरिका अंचल मानकर स्वाधीनता पाई केतेक मिलिटारी ट्रीटी करा जाइथिला। निज देशर डिफेन्स पाई ए ट्रीटी रो महत्वपूर्ण रहिथिला। से ट्रीटी गुडी को हला 1947 रे डंक्रिक ट्रीटी, 1948 रे ब्रुसेल ट्रीटी, 1949 रे नाटो, 1952 रे यूरोपियन डिफेन्स कमिटी एवं 1955 रे वेस्टर्न यूरोपियन यूनियन यार गठन होइतिला। तेणु विशेष करी यूरोपीय मानक क्षेत्र रे ए रिजनल एंड स्टेट रो आवश्यकता रही बा सेमाने विभिन्न कमिटी माध्यम रे विभिन्न चुक्ति माध्यम रे देश गुड़िकर संगठन तैयारी करिसंती। Now I am going to the integration of the Asian conflict, the association of Southeast Asian nations and the association of the South Asian associations of regional cooperations. आम एशिया महादेश रे निजको सुरक्षित करिया पई एशियन कंट्री गुड़िक मध्य दुईटी कमिटी गठन करथिले। गोटे हला एशियन आ गोटे हला सार्क। तुने एथिरे मध्य इंडिया मेंबर अछि बा सदस्य राष्ट्र भाबरे योगदान करिछि। निजर वाणिज्य कारोबार वृद्धि करिबा सहित निजर सोशियो इकोनॉमिक डेवलपमेंट करिया पई यार आवश्यकता रहिछि। Okay, now the last point, regionalism and strengthening of state. आंचलिक स्तर गुड़िक बा आंचलिकवाद किपरि राष्ट्र गुड़ी को अधिक शक्तिशाली करुछि। Some regional grouping, it becomes clear that the regional organizations are similar neither in their objectives nor in the organizational structure. The point emphasis in the cornerstone of regional integration is that established states are capable of making and implementing agreements with other countries. In the words of Horrell, it is no confidence that the most elaborate examples of regionalism have occurred in regions where the legitimacy of both nations and regimes is not widely called into questions. The European Union is a good example. Strong states that have come together, pooling some sovereignty to create a regional body with the unique powers. ଯେତେ ପ୍ରକାର ସବୁ ଆମେ ଦେଖିଲେ regional organization ସବୁଠି ୟୁରୋପିଆନ୍ ୟୁନିଅନ୍ ଭେରି ଷ୍ଟ୍ରଙ୍ଗ ୟୁନିଅନ୍ ହେଲା। ତେଣୁ ସବୁଠାରୁ ୟୁରୋପିଆନ୍ ଦେଶ ଗୁଡ଼ିକ ତାଙ୍କର ସଂଗଠନ ଅଧିକ ଶକ୍ତିଶାଳୀ ବୋଲି ଆମେ ଯାହା ଜାଣିବାକୁ ପାଉଛୁ। ଫାଇନାଲି there is no denying that the fact that the virtue of regional integration are manifold. Through participation in regional integration organizations, the nation states can secure increased economic growth rates. The rapid economic growth registered by the Western Europe states offer a matchless examples. The integration of Western Europe bears out the fact that regional integration can lead to all-round development and prosperity. It must be accepted as a healthy trend in offered as a meeting ground for their supporters of both nationalism and internationalism. It is supporters both and nationalism and internationalism. ଆଞ୍ଚଳିକ ମେଣ୍ଟ ବା ସଂଗଠନ ଗୁଡ଼ିକ ଦୁଇଟି କ୍ଷେତ୍ରରେ ଗୁରୁତ୍ୱ ଦେଲେ, ଆଞ୍ଚଳିକ ସ୍ତରରେ ହଉ ବା ଆନ୍ତର୍ଜାତୀୟ ସ୍ତରରେ ହଉ, ଏହି ଦୁଇଟି ସ୍ତରରେ ନିଜ ସଂଗଠନ ଗୁଡ଼ିକ ଶକ୍ତିଶାଳୀ ହେବାର ଆମେ ଦେଖିବାକୁ ପାଇଲେ। ଓକେ, ନାଉ ୟୁନିଟି 8 was completed. I am going to explain new unity 9, international organizations and state. International organizations and state. আন্তর্জাতীয় সংগঠন এবং রাষ্ট্র। ওকে, এটা यूनिट 9 রে ଅଛି। ତେଣୁ ଆମେ ବର୍ତ୍ତମାନ यूनिट 9 କୁ କଭର କରିବା। विशेष करी इंटरनेशनल ऑर्गेनाइजेशन कहले आमे केउ गुडा को बुझुचे, जो ऑर्गेनाइजेशन गुडा को अंतर्जातीय क्षेत्र रे बा अंतर्जातीय स्तर रे कार्य करूची। हम तो वर्ल्ड गवर्नमेंट कथा कहिबा यूएनओ, यूनाइटेड नेशंस ऑफ ऑर्गेनाइजेशन, यूनाइटेड नेशंस ऑर्गेनाइजेशन ये सबुठु बड़ संस्था। इंटरनेशनल ऑर्गेनाइजेशन ये सबुठु बड़ संस्था। यार अधीन रे डब्ल्यूटीओ, डब्ल्यूएचओ, लेबर, इस आईएलओ, आईसीजे ये सब संस्था गुडी को कार्य करूची। तो फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल आमे यूएनओ विषय जानिबा, यूएनओ विषय जानिबा, यूएनओ संगठन विषय जानिबा। दैट इज द international organizations. First, how to the origin of the UNO. The origin of the UNO. It was the year 1939 that World War II broke out. Millions of people were killed. The loss of property was incredible, incalculable. The use of an atom bomb at Hiroshima and Nagasaki in Japan shook the world. It brought untold sorrow and suffering to mankind. Saving the coming generations was a major problem before the leaders of the world. So, in the year 1942, many nations of the world decided to form an organization which could settle them dispute and help them work together. A conference was held from 25 April to 26 June 1945 in San Francisco, America. It was attended by the representatives of 50 countries of the world. Sri A. Ramaswamy Modeler was the leader of the Indian delegation. This conference drafted the charter of a new organization called the United Nations. It is also called the World Command. The name United Nations was given to the instance of the American President Roosevelt. The charter was signed by 26 June 1945. For the United Nations effectively came into the existence 24 October 1945. ଶେଷରେ ଏହି ଦୁଃଖଦପୂର୍ଣ୍ଣ ଦୁର୍ଘଟଣାରୁ ବଞ୍ଚିବା ପାଇଁ 1945 ମସିହା ଅକ୍ଟୋବର 24 ତାରିଖରେ ଏକ ବିଶ୍ୱ ସରକାର ଗଠନ ହେଲା, ଯାହା ଲୋକମାନଙ୍କ ମଧ୍ୟରେ ଯୁଦ୍ଧର ଭୟକୁ ଦୂର କରିବା, ଶାନ୍ତି ଉପସ୍ଥାପନ କରିବା ଏହାର ଉଦ୍ଦେଶ୍ୟ ରହିଲା। ଏହି ସଂଗଠନରେ when the charter was ratified, the China, France, the USSR, the United Kingdom and the United States and by the majority of other government original members countries. ଏଥିରେ ଦି ପ୍ରକାର ମେମ୍ବରସିପ ରଖା ହେଲା। ଗୋଟେ ହେଲା ପରମାନେଣ୍ଟ ମେମ୍ବରସିପ, 5ଟି ରାଷ୍ଟ୍ର ଶକ୍ତିଶାଳୀ ରାଷ୍ଟ୍ର ଏହାର ପରମାନେଣ୍ଟ ମେମ୍ବର ହେଲେ, ଆଉ ଅନ୍ୟାନ୍ୟ ସବୁ ଏହାର ମେମ୍ବର କଣ୍ଟ୍ରି ଭାବେ କାର୍ଯ୍ୟ କଲେ। Today 188 countries, now till date 194 countries have accepted the charter. They are registered under the UNO. They are the members of the UNO, all having equal rights. The organization is a finally nations working together of the good of making October 24. What is the purpose of UNO? What is the purpose of UNO? First, to maintain international peace and security and the settle dispute between the member states in a peaceful manner. Number 2, to discourage use of force for settlement of the dispute. Number 3, to develop friendly relations among nations through meeting and discussions. Number 4, to cooperate with the other nations in solving such world problems as elimination of the discharge, proper working of conditions for laborers, promotion of okay. Number 4 point, yes, number 4 point, to cooperate with other nations in solving such world problems like disease, working condition of laborers, promotion of public health, education, culture, etc. केवल युद्ध शांति नुह, यह अन्य क्षेत्र कार्य कर शिक्षा, श्रम, स्वास्थ्य क्षेत्र में कार्य कर। नंबर 5, टू प्रोवाइड ए मीटिंग प्लेस व्हेयर all members can work together to attain common ends stated above. That are the basic principle or purposes of the UNO. Next, membership of the UNO. Listen, all all peace-loving nations can become members if they accept the purposes and the principles of the United Nations in the charter of the organization. The country must agree to be judged by the UNO and abide by the decisions. The 51 countries which took part in the San Francisco Conference, the 51 countries which took part in San Francisco Conference and signed and approved the charter become original members. ଯେଉଁମାନେ ମେମ୍ବରସିପ୍ ହେବେ ୟୁଏନ୍ଓର ୟୁଏନ୍ଓ ସମ୍ବିଧାନ ବା ଚାର୍ଟାରେ ଯାହା ସବୁ ନୀତି ନିୟମ ପ୍ରସ୍ତୁତ କରାଯାଇଛି ତାହାକୁ ସମସ୍ତେ ମାନିବାକୁ ବାଧ୍ୟ ଅଟନ୍ତି। ଯେଉଁମାନଙ୍କ ଇଚ୍ଛା ହେବ ସେମାନେ ଏଥିରେ ମେମ୍ବରସିପ୍ ନେଇପାରିବେ, ଯେଉଁମାନଙ୍କ ଇଚ୍ଛା ନହେବ ସେ ମେମ୍ବରସିପ୍ ନ ନେଇପାରିବେ ବା ଓହରି ଯାଇପାରିବେ। ଏଥିରେ ମେମ୍ବରସିପ୍ ନେବାକୁ କାହାକୁ ବାଧ୍ୟ କରାଯାଉ ନାହିଁ। ନେକ୍ସଟ, ହେଡକ୍ୱାର୍ଟର ଅଫ ୟୁଏନ୍ଓ। Headquarters of UNO. The United Nations has the headquarter in New York City, America. New York City, America. The Secretariat building was completed in 1952 and the first meeting of the General Assembly was held there is October 1952. 1952 ରେ ପ୍ରଥମ ମିଟିଂ ୟୁଏନ୍ଓର ଜେନେରାଲ ସଭାରେ ଆରମ୍ଭ ହୋଇଥିଲା। This building stands at the 17 acres tract of land donated by John D. Rockefeller on the Manhattan Island. 17 ଏକର ଜମି ଉପରେ ଅବସ୍ଥିତ ଏହି ହେଡକ୍ୱାର୍ଟର ନ୍ୟୁୟର୍କରେ ଅବସ୍ଥିତ ଅଛି। ଏଥିରେ 39 stories which can accommodate over the 8,000 office workers. 39 ମହଲା ବିଲ୍ଡିଂ ଅଛି ଯୋଉଥିରେ କି ପାଖାପାଖି 8,000 କର୍ମଚାରୀ ରହିପାରିବେ, କାର୍ଯ୍ୟ କରିପାରିବେ। ଓକେ, the official language of UNO. The official language of the UNO are Chinese, English, French, Russian, Arabic and Spanish. Again, the official language of the UNO Chinese, English, French, Russian, Arabic and Spanish. Are speech made up in one of these languages is immediately translated in the other 5 languages. এই ଯେଉଁ ପାଞ୍ଚଟା ଲାଙ୍ଗୁଏଜ, ପାଞ୍ଚଟା ପରମାନେଣ୍ଟ ସଦସ୍ୟ ରାଷ୍ଟ୍ରମାନଙ୍କର ପାଞ୍ଚଟି ଭାଷା ଅଛି, ଏଥିରେ ସ୍ୱୀକୃତି ଦିଆଯାଇଛି। ଯେକୌଣସି ରାଷ୍ଟ୍ର ନିଜ ଭାଷାରେ ସ୍ପିଚ୍ ଦେଲା ବେଳେ ଅନ୍ୟ 4ଟି ଭାଷାରେ ଅଟୋମେଟିକ୍ ଟ୍ରାନ୍ସଲେସନ ହେଇଯିବ। ବଢିଆ ସୁନ୍ଦର କରାଯାଇଛି। Flag. The United Nations flag was adopted on 20th October 1947. It consists of the UN emblem in white on a light blue background. The UN emblems containing 2 bent olive branches on the top and between them the world map. ମଝିର ୱାର୍ଲଡ ମ୍ୟାପ ଅଛି, ଦୁଇ ସାଇଡରେ ଅଲିଭ ଲିଫର ଯେ ଚିତ୍ର ଅଛି, ଏଟା ହଉଛି ତାର ଜାତୀୟ ପତାକା ୟୁଏନ୍ଓ। ବର୍ତ୍ତମାନ ମୁଁ କହିବି ହାଉ ମେନି ଅର୍ଗାନ୍ସ ଅଫ ଦ ୟୁଏନ୍ଓ। ୟୁଏନ୍ଓ କେତେଟା ଅର୍ଗାନ ଅଛି ବା ଅଙ୍ଗ ଅଛି। ଫାର୍ଷ୍ଟ ୱାନ୍, ଦ ଜେନେରାଲ ଆସେମ୍ବଲି। ସେକେଣ୍ଡ, ଦ ସିକ୍ୟୁରିଟି କାଉନସିଲ। ଥର୍ଡ, Economic and Social Council. 4, Trustee Council. 5, the International Court of Justice. 6, the Secretariat. Write down again the 6 organs of UNO. First one is General Assembly. Second, Security Council. The third, Economic and Social Council. 4, the Trustee Council. 5, the International Court of Justice. 6, the Secretariat. এই 6ଟି ଅର୍ଗାନ ମଧ୍ୟରୁ जनरल आसेम्बली होउचे एको इम्पोर्टान्ट ऑर्गन। ए जनरल आसेम्बली रे सभा कार्य होइथाय एवं चार्टर अनुसार निष्पत्ति ग्रहण करा जाइथाय। सिक्यूरिटी काउंसिल मध्य अन्य एक इम्पोर्टान्ट ऑर्गन अछि जोथिरे सैन्य सामंत बा बल व्यवस्था करा जाइछि। कौन से राष्ट्र राष्ट्र मध्य जदि वार बा कन्फ्लिक्ट देखा जाए पीसफुली भाव में या समाधान करने सिक्यूरिटी काउंसिल अच्छी जदि आवश्यक पड़े सैन्य सामंत मध्य व्यवहार करा जाय परिबो। जेतले भारत पाकिस्तान जम्मू एंड काश्मीर को नहीं समस्या देखा जाइथिला सेतेबेले एवं युद्ध मध्य होइथिला। एही क्षेत्र रे यूएनओ हस्तक्षेप करितिला। यूएनओ सिक्यूरिटी काउंसिल सैन्य पठिया पई बाध्य करितिला। तेणु भारत पाकिस्तान मध्य थिबा जम्मू काश्मीर को नहीं विवाद स्टॉप करा जाइतिला। नेक्स्ट ऑर्गन होची इकोनॉमिक एंड सोशल काउंसिल। आर्थिक क्षेत्र रे सामाजिक परिषद गठन करा जाइछि जहा दरिद्रतम राष्ट्र गुड़िक मध्य विकसित अर्थनैतिक विकास करिया पई सामाजिक प्रगति करिया पई एही संस्था कार्यकारी आसुछि। नेक्स्ट ट्रस्टशिप काउंसिल परमानेंट सदस्य थिबा राष्ट्र गुड़िक बा धनी राष्ट्र गुड़िक यूएन को अर्थ डोनेट करिवे एवं यही अर्थ गरीब देश गुड़िक खर्च करा जिवो। यही तार काम। द 5 इंटरनेशनल कोर्ट ऑफ जस्टिस वर्तमान समाज रे आईसीजे इंटरनेशनल कोर्ट ऑफ जस्टिस जमिति सारा भारत पई गोटिए हला सुप्रीम कोर्ट से बली सारा विश्व पई गोटिए कोर्ट रे व्यवस्था अछि सेटा हला इंटरनेशनल कोर्ट ऑफ जस्टिस। एही संस्था सारा देश रे सारा विश्व रे आंतर्जातिक आईन आंतर्जातिक संपर्क अनुसार यह आलोचना करि थाए एवं दोषी को मध्य दंड दे थाए। द लास्ट ऑर्गन होची आई सेक्रेटेरिएट। The secretary is the administrative organ of the United Nations. It carries out the programs and policies of the United Nations. It works under the Secretary General, who is appointed by the General Assembly on the recommendations of the Security Councils. The Secretary General's work is very important. It is the duty of bring before the UN by the matter of world. Now I am going to explain other organizations of under the UNO. International Labour Organization ILO. International Labour Organization ILO is established in 1919 as an autonomous institution associated with the League of Nations in 1946. ILO became the first specialized agency of the UNO. ILO is an intergovernmental agency with the tripartite structure in which representatives of governments, employees, and workers participate. The governing body of ILO has 48 members. The Director General is the head of ILO. He is elected by the governing body. Next organ, International Atomic Energy Agency IAEA. International Atomic Energy Agency. The agency with the functions under the UNO come into force on July 29, 1957. It is an autonomous intergovernmental organization under the patronage of UNO. Atoms for Peace. Atoms for Peace is its guiding principle. It aims to promote the peaceful uses of atomic energy and to ensure that the assistance provided by its request or under the supervision or control is not used for such a way to further any military purposes. It also assists the research and application of atomic power by powerful uses such as the production of electric power in less development countries. ଖାଲି ଯୁଦ୍ଧ ପାଇଁ ନୁହେଁ, ଆଟୋମିକ ଉପରେ ରିସର୍ଚ୍ଚ କରିବା ପାଇଁ ମଧ୍ୟ ଏହା କାର୍ଯ୍ୟ କରିଥାଏ। ନେକ୍ସଟ, ଫୁଡ ଆଣ୍ଡ ଏଗ୍ରିକଲଚର ଅର୍ଗାନାଇଜେସନ ବିଶ୍ୱ ଖାଦ୍ୟ ବ୍ୟବସ୍ଥାରେ FAO କାର୍ଯ୍ୟ କରୁଛି। It is established on October 16, 1945 at the meeting held in Canada. Its aim to raise nutrition levels of living standards, secure improvements in production and distribution of food as agricultural products, to improve the living conditions of the rural population and the elimination hunger. FAO works through a conference, a council and staff. The conference is the policy-making body in which each member has one vote. The council consists of 49 members, nations elected by the conference. The general conference meets each element year. FAO by FAO, it is a very important organ of UNO. ବିଶ୍ୱ ଖାଦ୍ୟ ବ୍ୟବସ୍ଥାରେ ଏହାର ଭୂମିକା ଅନେକ ଅଛି। ଦରିଦ୍ର ରାଷ୍ଟ୍ରଗୁଡ଼ିକୁ ବା ବିଲୋ ପୋଭର୍ଟି ଲାଇନ୍ ଅଣ୍ଡର ଥିବା ଯେଉଁ ରାଷ୍ଟ୍ରଗୁଡ଼ିକୁ ମାଗଣାରେ ଖାଦ୍ୟ ସପ୍ଲାଏ କରିବା, ଖାଦ୍ୟ ଯୋଗାଣ କରିବା, ଏହି 49ଟି ରାଷ୍ଟ୍ର କାର୍ଯ୍ୟ କରିଥାନ୍ତି। ଆପଣମାନେ ମନେ ଥିବ, ମୋର ଠିକ ମନେ ଅଛି, ଭାରତରେ ଯେତେବେଳେ ଖାଦ୍ୟ ଅଭାବ ଥିଲା, ଆମେରିକାରୁ ଖାଦ୍ୟ ଆସେ, ପେପର ବ୍ୟାଗରେ ଆମେରିକାର ଖାଦ୍ୟ ଆସେ। କୋଉ ଖାଦ୍ୟ? ମକା ଗୁଣ୍ଡ, ବଲଗର, ଗହମ, ଏଗୁଡାକ ଭାରତକୁ ଆସେ। ମୁଁ ନିଜେ ଦେଖିଛି, ବଡ ବଡ ଲେଖା ହେଇଥିବ ମେଡ୍ ଇନ୍ USA। ସେଟା ଆମ ସ୍କୁଲ ପିଲାମାନଙ୍କୁ ବା ଅଙ୍ଗନବାଡି ପିଲାଙ୍କୁ ଖାଇବାକୁ ଦିଆଯାଏ। ତେଣୁ ଭାରତ ଯେତେବେଳେ ଖାଦ୍ୟ ଅଭାବ ଥିଲା, ସେତେବେଳେ ଆମେରିକା ଏହି ଖାଦ୍ୟ ଭାରତକୁ ସପ୍ଲାଏ କରୁଥିଲା। କେବଳ ଭାରତ ନୁହେଁ, ବିଶ୍ୱରେ ଥିବା ଗରିବ ରାଷ୍ଟ୍ରଗୁଡ଼ିକୁ ଏହି FAO ଖାଦ୍ୟ ସପ୍ଲାଏ କରିଥାଏ। ନେକ୍ସଟ ଅର୍ଗାନାଇଜେସନ, ୟୁନାଇଟେଡ୍ ନେସନ୍ସ ଏଜୁକେଶନାଲ, ସାଇଣ୍ଟିଫିକ and cultural organization. It means UNESCO. You also very well known about the UNESCO, ଯାହା ଶିକ୍ଷା, ବିଜ୍ଞାନ, ସାଂସ୍କୃତିକ ସଂଗଠନ କ୍ଷେତ୍ରରେ କାର୍ଯ୍ୟ କରିଥାଏ। Established on November 4, 1946. The purpose of UNESCO is to contribute to peace and security by the promoting collaboration among nutrition through education, science and culture is in order to further justice, rule of law and human rights and freedoms without distinction of race, sex, language or religion. The USA withdrew from the UNESCO on December 31, 1984, and the UK did it exactly 1 year after. It is governed by the General Conference and the Executive Board and Secretariat. UNESCO conducts conference and smaller meetings on special subjects, gives assistance to non-governmental organization (NGO), and publishes books on the wide range of topics. The idea is to promote international intellectual cooperations. विज्ञान, शिक्षा, संस्कृति क्षेत्र में यह संगठन कार्य करुच्ची। नेक्स्ट संगठन है WHO वर्ल्ड हेल्थ ऑर्गेनाइजेशन। यहाँ पर समस्त निश्चय जानते। इट एस्टाब्लिश्ड ऑन April 7, 1948. The main organ of the WHO are the Health Assembly, Executive Board, 6 regional committees and the Secretariat. The World Health Assembly is in the supreme governing body which the meets annually. It determines the policies and the programs of who are prepares the budget. कोरोना समय आपण मैंने निश्चय जानी इन COVID-19 pandemic situation, WH has an important role in the sphere of health. Next, World Bank, Vishwa Bank. The World Bank is a group of four institutions: the International Bank for the Reconstruction and Development, IBRD, International Bank for Reconstruction and Development, established in 1945. The International Finance Corporation, IFC, established in 1956. The International Development Association, IDA, established in 1960. And the Multilateral Invest Guarantee Agency, MIGA, established in 1988. ଏହି ଚାରୋଟି ସଂସ୍ଥାକୁ ନେଇ ୱାର୍ଲଡ ବ୍ୟାଙ୍କ ଗଠିତ ହୋଇଛି। ନେକ୍ସଟ, IBRD, ଇଣ୍ଟରନ୍ୟାସନାଲ ବ୍ୟାଙ୍କ ଫର ଦ ରିକନଷ୍ଟ୍ରକ୍ସନ ଆଣ୍ଡ ଡେଭଲପମେଣ୍ଟ। IBRD conceived at the Bretton Woods Conference in July 1944. The bank came into force on December 27, 1945. Its operation began on June 25, 1946. The bank aimed to help the reconstruction and development of economic members by the facilitating investment of capital, promote foreign investment, and implement private investment by providing loans for productive purpose of out of the capital funds raised by the UN. ତେଣୁ ବିଶ୍ୱ ସ୍ତରରେ କନଷ୍ଟ୍ରକ୍ସନ ବ୍ରିଜେସ୍ କ୍ଷେତ୍ରରେ ଏହା ଅର୍ଥ ସାଂସନ କରିଥାଏ। ଆର ହେଡକ୍ୱାର୍ଟର ହେଉଛି ୱାଶିଂଟନ ଡିସି। ନେକ୍ସଟ, International Development Association, IDA, established on September 24, 1960. IDA is an affiliate of the World Bank and has the same official and staff as the bank. It constructs its assistance of those countries with an annual per capita gross national product (GDP) of less than $520. Its main object to the help the underdeveloped countries to tax the raising their living standard. ଯେଉଁ ଦେଶ ଗୁଡ଼ିକ ବାର୍ଷିକ $520 କମ ଅଛି ଇନକମ୍, ସେଇ ଦେଶକୁ ଅର୍ଥ ସାହାଯ୍ୟ କରିଥାଏ। ଆର ହେଡ୍ ଅଫିସ୍ ହେଲା ୱାଶିଂଟନ ଡିସି। ନେକ୍ସଟ, International Maritime Organization, IMO, International Maritime Organization, established on March 17, 1958. IMO is the objective are the provides machinery for the cooperation and exchange of information among government on technical matters affecting shipping to ensure the achievement of the highest participable standards of maritime safety in efficient navigation. ସାମୁଦ୍ରିକ କ୍ଷେତ୍ରରେ ଜାହାଜ ଚଳାଚଳ ପାଇଁ ଏହି ସଂସ୍ଥା କାର୍ଯ୍ୟ କରି ଆସୁଅଛି। ନେକ୍ସଟ, GATT, General Agreement on Tariffs Trade, GATT, GATT. It was negotiated in 1947 and entered into the force on January 1, 1948. It is the only treaty setting rules of the world trade functions are to each trade varies and establish rules of fair trade. In recent years, GATT has made a special efforts to develop international trade and has also given particular emphasis on the increase in the efforts to trade and developing countries. ବାଣିଜ୍ୟ ବ୍ୟବସାୟ କ୍ଷେତ୍ରରେ ଏହା ଗ୍ୟାଟ୍ କାର୍ଯ୍ୟ କରିଥାଏ, କିନ୍ତୁ 2025ରେ ଡୋନାଲ୍ଡ ଟ୍ରମ୍ପ ପ୍ରତ୍ୟେକ ଦେଶର ଟାରିଫ ବୃଦ୍ଧି କରିବା ଦ୍ୱାରା ବିଶ୍ୱ ଅର୍ଥନୀତିର ଏହା ଏକ କ୍ଷତି ପହଞ୍ଚାଇଥିଲା। ଏହିଭଳି ଭାବରେ ଇଣ୍ଟରନ୍ୟାସନାଲ କ୍ଷେତ୍ରରେ ଯେଉଁ ସଂଗଠନ ଗୁଡ଼ା ଅଛି, ରାଷ୍ଟ୍ର ସହିତ ଏହା ଜଡ଼ିତ ରହିଛି। ଓକେ, ନାଉ ଆଇ ଏମ୍ ଗୋଇଂ ଟୁ ୟୁନିଟ୍ 10, Please see Unity 10. Multinational cooperation and state. Multinational cooperation and state. Unity 10. Please look out. Recent years have witnessed fierce debate between the protagonist and the critics over the changing role of the state in the face of a prolific rise of multinational corporations. MNC, multinational company, in a fast globalizing world, while the while the protagonists have been rather quick in proclaiming the end of the state. The critics sound reluctant over such a possibility. Instead, they believe that the case for the abol- abolitions, let alone the demise of the nation state, has been overstated. However, both share one common understanding about the status of multinational or transnational corporations, TNC. Transnational corporations, they have become extremely important transnational position or transnational political actors to the ignored in an meaningful study of cooperative politics, shaping much of the outcomes in the world today. Transnational corporations, at the very name suggests, have spread across the globe unprecedented rate of the peace. The size and wealth of multinational corporations, too large to be ignored by the standard of comparative politics. Towards and definition of a multinational or transitional corporation. What is the transitional corporation? Multinational corporation বা multinational company appears to be far from over, even though the two terms multinational and transitional are often used in interchangeably in the literature of comparative politics. Different scholars attribute distinct meanings of them, widely perceived as footloose and stateless entities by the various globalities. A multinational corporation can be conveniently defined as a firm based on the single home country that invests in one or more other states known as the host country. MNC ଗୁଡ଼ିକ ବର୍ତ୍ତମାନ ସମୟରେ ସାରା ବିଶ୍ୱରେ ତାଙ୍କର ଶାଖା ପ୍ରଶାଖା ଖୋଲି ସାରିଛନ୍ତି, ଯାହାକୁ host country ରୂପେ କୁହାଯାଉଛି। ନ୍ୟାସନାଲ ଇଣ୍ଟରନ୍ୟାସନାଲ ଲେବୁଲରେ MNCର ଭୂମିକା ରହିଛି। ଏହି MNC ଗ୍ଲୋବାଲାଇଜେସନ ଗଠନ କରିବାର ମୁଖ୍ୟ ଭୂମିକା ରହିଛି। ଗତ ପିରିୟଡରେ ଗ୍ଲୋବାଲାଇଜେସନ ପଢିଲା ବେଳେ MNC ମାନଙ୍କ କଥା ମୁଁ କହିଥିଲି। Once again, globalization and the changing nature of MNC. The nature of institutional cooperation, the nature of a multinational corporation has undergone a drastic change with the unfolding of the process of globalization around the world. This is evident from the change that the first occurring at the level of production activity taking place within the MNC. As against the older times, when there was the clear demarcation between production activities taking place at the headquarters and secondly activity occurring in the subsidiary branches. इंग्लैंड कथा कहबी जेतले भारत रे ईस्ट इंडिया कंपनी से खोलिले भारत रो रॉ मटेरियल मीन्स कॉटन कलेक्शन कले प्रोडक्शन एंड कलेक्शन कले ताकू पुणी शिपिंग माध्यम रे इंग्लैंड को पठेले इंग्लैंड रे सेठारे वस्त्र प्रस्तुत कले ताकू पुणी भारत और अन्य देश रे बिक्री बजार कले तेणु एमएनसी रो काम है जे सबऑर्डिनेट कंट्रीज गुड़ाकर निजर व्यापार वृद्धि करबा स्टेट एंड मल्टीनेशनल कॉर्पोरेशंस in the context of the balance between MNCs and the government according to the Rod Hogg and Maintain Horop raises the modern form. The age-old question of the relationship between the economic and political power. In its current form, the logic governing the relationship simple capital is mobile, laborless, shoe and states not at all. Companies can move their factories between countries but states but definitions are fixed in spare. As a result, countries must compete to provide an attractive home for foreign direct investment, providing an environment which at least are the business friendly as that provided by the competitor states is clearly a major challenges for governance producing the partition of the comparative deregulation and tax competitions. ଯେତେବେଳେ ଇଷ୍ଟ ଇଣ୍ଡିଆ କମ୍ପାନୀ ଇଂଲଣ୍ଡ ଖୋଲିଲା ସେଇଭଳିଆ ଇଷ୍ଟ ଇଣ୍ଡିଆ କମ୍ପାନୀ ପର୍ତ୍ତୁଗୀଜ ମଧ୍ୟ ଭାରତରେ ଗୋଟେ ଶାଖା ଖୋଲିଲା ଉଭୟ ଦେଶ ମଧ୍ୟରେ ଏହା ଏକ କମ୍ପିଟିସନ ବଜାର ସୃଷ୍ଟି ହେଲା ଶେଷରେ ଇଂଲଣ୍ଡ ଆଉ ଫ୍ରାନ୍ସ ମଧ୍ୟରେ ଯେଉଁ ଯୁଦ୍ଧ ହେଲା ଅର୍ଥନୈତିକ ଯୁଦ୍ଧ ଏଥିରେ ଫ୍ରାନ୍ସ ପରାଜିତ ହେଲା ଇଂରେଜ ମାନେ ଜିତିଗଲେ ଇଂରେଜ ମାନଙ୍କ ଇଷ୍ଟ ଇଣ୍ଡିଆ କମ୍ପାନୀ ପ୍ରତିଷ୍ଠିତ ହେଲା ତେଣୁ ଇଷ୍ଟ ଇଣ୍ଡିଆ କମ୍ପାନୀ ଏଟା ଗୋଟେ ଇଣ୍ଟରନ୍ୟାସନାଲ କମ୍ପାନୀ ଭାରତର ଯେଉଁ स्टेट कंपनी सहित यह प्रतियोगिता कला गुजरात अहमदनगर बॉम्बे ये सब अंचल जो स्टेट कंपनी मान को हटाइवाई ईस्ट इंडिया कंपनी तार अति चीप रेट रे प्रत्यक्ष बिक्री कला जहाँफल कि अन्य फैक्ट्री गुड़ाक ईस्ट इंडिया कंपनी सहित कंपिटेट कर पारे ना शेष में बंद हो गला एवं समस्त स्टेट इंडस्ट्री को ईस्ट इंडिया कंपनी गिरीदेला The key features of the state. Key features of the state. First one, the state is sovereign. It exercises absolute and unrestricted power in that is stand above all other associations and groups in society. Thomas Hobbes conveyed this idea by portraying the state as a leviathan, a gigantic monster usually represented as sea creature. Number two, state institutions are recognizable public in contrast to the private. In contrast to the private institutions of civil society, public bodies are responsible for making and enforcing collective decisions, while private bodies such as families, private business, and trade unions exist to satisfy individual interests. Number 3 point, the state is an exercise in legislation. The decision of the state are usually accepted as binding on the members of a society because it is claimed they are made in the public interest or for the common good. The state sophisticatedly reflects the permanent interest of the society. Next, the state is a territorial association. The jurisdiction of the state geographically defined and encompasses all those who in within the state's borders, whether they are citizens or non-citizens. On the international chain, the state is therefore regarded as an autonomous entity. ଆପଣ ମାନେ ଜାଣିଥିବେ ଭୋପାଳ ଗ୍ୟାସ ଦୁର୍ଘଟଣା, incident of Bhopal gas, there are 10,000 people are died in the poisonous gas. ओके, प्रकृତରେ सेटा स्टेट कंपनी नथिला, सेटा गोटे इंटरनेशनल कंपनी था जार मालिक थिले अमेरिकान. जेतेबेले 10,000 लोक पॉइजन गैस मरी गले, कोर्ट रे केस चलिला, किंतु मालिक सेतले इंडिया छाड़ी अमेरिका चली जाइथिले. आ मालिक दोषी करा जाय पाला नहीं कि कोर्ट रे साब्यस्त करा जाय पारिला नहीं. दीर्घ दिन केस चलला परे शेषरे ए मालिक दोषी साब्यस्त करा गला और लोक क्षतिपूरण देवा सहित ताकू दंड दिया गला. तो ग्लोबलाइजेशन क्षेत्र रे एमएनसी गुडाक स्टेट रे जो प्रॉब्लम हुए से सहज रे धरा दियंती नहीं. तो स्टेट क्षेत्र रे इंटरनेशनल कंपनी गुडाक एमएनसी गुडाक निजर सुविधा देखी मार्केट तैयारी करती और लाभ उठाई से माने चली जाती. नेक्स्ट पॉइंट, एक्स्ट्रा टेरिटोरियलिटी एंड सॉवरेनिटी. एक्स्ट्रा टेरिटोरियलिटी एंड सॉवरेनिटी ग्लोबलाइजेशन क्षेत्र रे गोटे राष्ट्रर सार्वभौमत्व धीरे धीरे नष्ट हो जाए. कहीं ना एमएनसी गुडाक बारंबार राष्ट्र मध्य प्रवेश करने द्वारा फरेन पीपुल अत्यधिक मात्रा रे बसवास करने द्वारा से राष्ट्र सार्वभौमत्व आस्ते आस्ते नष्ट हो जाए. आउ एमएनसी गुड़िक से राष्ट्र नीति नियम गुड़िक मानि न था. या फल गोटे राष्ट्र सीमाहीन हो जाए एवं तार सार्वभौमत्व दुर्बल होगाकू लगे. परसेप्शंस ऑफ द एमएनसी enthusiasts. MNC enthusiasts view multinational corporations as huge economic combines that have the requisite capacity, know-how and wisdom to treat the world as the single economy unity and to combine the factors of production like labor, land, capital and management for maximum efficiency and production. They exhibit tremendous confidence in the ability of MNCs to produce more and better production at lower prices, thereby satisfying the progressively rising global demand for these products. The reason for this exuberance among the MNC enthusiastic lies in their unflinching belief in the ability of MNCs to locate their plans, draw their resources, and select their management staffs from countries that can provide each factors of the production at cost efficient terms. Perceptions of the MNC skeptics. The next point. It is sharp construct to the perceptions of the MNC authenticating the MNC skeptic identify the whole range of the problem with the global cooperation activities of multinational companies. It is not only the poorer third world countries which are apprehensive of MNCs, but concern about serious implementations of the functioning of various MNCs are also constantly raised in the developed part of the world. Several well-organized labor unions in the Western countries are of the view that MNCs are fast moving their place to areas cheap labor, resulting in the serious unemployment problems in United States, Britain and other developed countries of the world. ଯେତେବେଳେ ଆମେରିକାର ଶିଳ୍ପ ପ୍ରତିଷ୍ଠା ହେଲା, ବ୍ରିଟିଶ ମାନେ ଶିଳ୍ପ ପ୍ରତିଷ୍ଠା କଲେ ୟୁରୋପରେ, ସେତେବେଳେ ଲେବର ଆବଶ୍ୟକତା ପଡ଼ିଲା। ତେଣୁ ସେମାନେ ଲେବର ଆନ୍ତର୍ଜାତୀୟ ସ୍ତରରେ ଲେବର କିଣିବାକୁ ଲାଗିଲେ, ବିଶେଷ କରି ଭାରତରୁ, ଆଫ୍ରିକାରୁ ସେମାନେ ଲେବର ଆମଦାନୀ କରି ତାଙ୍କର ବିଜନେସ୍ ବା ଫ୍ୟାକ୍ଟ୍ରି ଗୁଡ଼ାକ କାର୍ଯ୍ୟକାରୀ କରେଇଲେ। ବର୍ତ୍ତମାନ ଦେଖୁଥିବ ଆମେରିକାର ସବୁ ମ୍ୟାକ୍ସିମମ୍ କଳା ଲୋକ ଅଛନ୍ତି, ଦେ ଆର୍ ଦ ସେମାନେ ହେଉଛନ୍ତି ଆଫ୍ରିକା ଓ ଆମେରିକାନ ଲୋକ, ତାଙ୍କ ଅରିଜିନ୍ ହେଉଛି ଆଫ୍ରିକା, ତ ଆମେରିକା ସେମାନେ ଏଷ୍ଟାବ୍ଲିଶ ହେଇଛନ୍ତି। କେମିତି ସେମାନେ ଆମେରିକା ଗଲେ? ଆମେରିକାର ଶିଳ୍ପରେ କାମ କରିବା ପାଇଁ ଆଫ୍ରିକା ଯେଉଁ ଲେବର ମାନଙ୍କୁ ଆମଦାନୀ କରାଯାଇଥିଲା, ସେମାନେ ଦେ ଆର୍ ଏଷ୍ଟାବ୍ଲିଶଡ ଇନ୍ ଆମେରିକା। ଧୀରେ ଧୀରେ ସେମାନେ ଆମେରିକା ସ୍ଥାୟୀ ବାସିନ୍ଦା ହେଇଗଲେ ଏବଂ ଆମେରିକୀୟ ଓ ଆଫ୍ରିକୀୟ ମାନଙ୍କ ମଧ୍ୟରେ ଯେଉଁ ସାମାଜିକ ଚୁକ୍ତି ବା ସାମାଜିକ ସମ୍ବନ୍ଧନ ହେବା ଦ୍ୱାରା ଆଫ୍ରୋ ଆମେରିକାନ ସୃଷ୍ଟି ହେଲା। ତେଣୁ ଆମେରିକାରେ ଆଫ୍ରିକା ମାନଙ୍କର ସ୍ଥାୟୀ ବସତି ଦେଖିବାକୁ ମିଳିଥିଲା। Final summary of the multinational companies. What comes out quite clearly from the above discussion in that multinational corporations have not only become very important transitional political actors, but also they have become too rich and powerful that they can influence much of the outcomes in the world today. However, the complex interdependence between both countries, home countries, and the firms that are created by the MNCs, global network will continue to generate controversy in the future. It is also a fact that while few countries are in position to refuse international investment, they will continue to question the MNC impact of the national interest. ବର୍ତ୍ତମାନ ଆମର ୟୁନିଟ୍ 10 ସରିଗଲା। ଆମେ ଯିବା ବର୍ତ୍ତମାନ ନେକ୍ସଟ ୟୁନିଟ୍ କୁ 11 ୟୁନିଟ୍ 11। यूनिट 11 अच्छी नेशनलिज्म अप्रोचेस। नेशनलिज्म अप्रोचेस नेशनलिज्म। नेक्स्ट टॉपिक इज नेशनलिज्म, जातीयतावाद। नेक्स्ट टॉपिक इज नेशनलिज्म बा जातीयतावाद। नेशियो, नेशन, नेशनल, नेशनलिज्म। नेशियो रु नेशन आसीची, नेशन रु नेशनल, नेशनल रु नेशनलिज्म बा जातीयतावाद सृष्टि होइची। मीनिंग एंड नेचर ऑफ द नेशनलिज्म। It is very difficult to arrive at the satisfactory definition of the nationalism. There is no single and universal definition of the nationalism. According to the Friedman, it is held by many authors of repute the nationalism is not capable of any scientific definitions. In fact, to know that real nature of meaning of nationalism, we should know different terms like nation, nationality, national self-determinations, and patriotism. The term nation is derived from the Latin word natio, which means birth. Hence, creatures create offering. Hence, creatures entity offspring of the time. Hence, a clans of springs. Hence, a peoples. Hence, that people itself. Thus, nation is a group of people with the feeling of solidarity among themselves, and as a sense of distinctity from others. According to According to Sculpture, a nation is a group of people with the feeling of solidarity among themselves and a sense of distinction from the others. Nationalism is a feeling of a group of people to live together and to make the most of the joint inheritance. This feeling of the certainly conductive to identify the fortune of the individual with that of a nation state. This definition of nationalism means separation from other peoples who are regarded as the foreigners. For Jawaharlal Nehru said, nationalism is essentially an anti-feeling. The sociologist Louis Worth defines nationality as people who, because of the belief in their common descent and that mission in the world by virtue of their common cultural heritage, by historical career, appearance to the sovereignty over a territory in the face of opposition. According to Frederick Hatch, Hatch defines it as a community formed by the will to be nation. It is nothing national or mechanical. It is nothing national or mechanical. Factors of nationalism. Factors of nationalism. Human nature. Human nature. Man cannot live without food and shelter. These are his biological needs. Besides this, man has many other desires over and over those necessary for his physical existence. In him, there is a tendency to develop group loyalties, love for his country, or patriotism. As such, there is a manifestation as necessary for the nationalism. ମଣିଷର ପ୍ରକୃତି ହେଉଛି ଯେଉଁ ଦେଶରେ ସେ ଜନ୍ମଗ୍ରହଣ କରିଛି ସେହି ଦେଶ ପ୍ରତି ତାକୁ ମାତୃଭୂମି ବା ମମତାର ଭଲ ପାଇବା ଦେଇ ତାକୁ ସୁରକ୍ଷା ବା ଦେଶ ରକ୍ଷା କରିବା ତାର ଯେଉଁ ଜାତୀୟତା ଜାତୀୟତାବାଦୀ ଦେଖାଯାଇଥାଏ ତାକୁ ଦେଶଭକ୍ତି ବା ଦେଶଭକ୍ତ ବୋଲି କୁହାଯାଇଥାଏ। ନେକ୍ସଟ ଏଲିମେଣ୍ଟ ଜିଓଗ୍ରାଫି। Geographical factors promote the development nationalism as the unit of a particular group and isolate the from other groups। ଯେଉଁ ମାଟିରେ ଜନ୍ମ ହେଇଛେ ତାହା ହିଁ ଆମର ଜନ୍ମଭୂମି। ତେଣୁ ଏଇ ମାଟିକୁ ସୁରକ୍ଷା ଏ ମାଟିର ମମତା ଆମ ପାଇଁ ମହାନ ଅଟେ। ନେକ୍ସଟ ପଏଣ୍ଟ ଲାଙ୍ଗୁଏଜ। Bhasha. Language has played the most important part of the development of nationalism. According to Ramsey Moore, there is indeed nothing that will of the readily give unity of unity of divergent races as the use of a common tongue, and in very many cases unity of language and the community of ideas which the brings have proved the main binding force of the nation. ଯେମିତି ଆମେ ଓଡ଼ିଶା ଭାଷା କହୁଥିବା ବାସୀଙ୍କୁ ଓଡ଼ିଶା ବୋଲି କୁହାଯାଏ, ବଙ୍ଗାଳୀ ଭାଷା କହୁଥିବା ବାସୀଙ୍କୁ ବଙ୍ଗଳା କୁହାଯାଏ। ସେହିଭଳି ଭାରତୀୟତା, ଚାଇନିଜ ଏହିସବୁ ଦେଶ ଭାଷା ଭିତ୍ତିକ ହୋଇଥିବାରୁ ବା ଭାଷା ପ୍ରତି ମମତା ଥିବାରୁ ଗୋଟିଏ ନ୍ୟାସନାଲିଜିମ୍ ଜାତୀୟତାବାଦ ସୃଷ୍ଟି ହୋଇଥାଏ। Next point, race. Race is another important factor that has contributed towards the development of nationalism. Nationality actually cuts through and the across race, though it must be confessed in difference to racial propaganda that are the imaginary belief of a blood relationship. That is, and the race has been the effective force of building and emerging the nationalism. The unity of the nation is weakened or the strengthened by the religious similarities or the difference among its people. देख रेस क्षेत्र रे वर्ण क्षेत्र रे वर्ण को लेकिन जातीयता मध्य सृष्टि जर्मनी एमती एक देश जर्मनी माने कहती जर्मनीवासी होती पृथ्वी एकमात्र गोरा जाति भगवान ए गोरा जाति को पृथ्वी को शासन करने पठे ये जो चिंताधारा वर्ण भित्तिक चिंताधारा देश को भल पाइबा और देश गठन करिबारे यह एक जातीयतावादी मतामत अटे। नेक्स्ट, हिस्ट्री. कॉमन हिस्टोरिकल एक्सपीरियंस एंड ट्रेडिशंस आर द मोस्ट फंडामेंटल बेसिस ऑफ नेशनलिज्म. Nationalism is a primarily loyalty to traditions. These traditions may be the military valor of a cultural accomplishment or they have in the associated with the feeling of a statehood. इतिहास हेउचे एक मुख साखी इतिहास को नहीं वीरत्व कहानी गाथा सृष्टि कराई थाए इतिहास को नहीं देशर वीरत्व कहानी सृष्टि होती तेणु यही इतिहास ही जातीयतावाद सृष्टि कर एक मुख्य उद्देश्य अटे। नेक्स्ट, इकोनॉमिक. In many ways economic factors play a great role in the development of nationalism. According to Karl Marx, the middle class encourages the development of nationalism in order to maintain the power and cloak its economic motives in the grab of patriotism. एटा आम सीधा सड़क ट्रम्प कथा कही परिबा सेतले राष्ट्रपति कहले फास्ट अमेरिकन प्रथमे अमेरिकन तेणु यह हूँ अमेरिकीय माने अमेरिका रे ही अर्थनैतिक क्षेत्र में सर्विस क्षेत्र में आगुआ सुविधा दिज्व एटा हूँ अर्थनैतिक क्षेत्र में यह एक आंदोलन अटे। नेशनलिज्म जातीयतावाद तार भल गुण खराब गुण से आलोचना करिबा। मेरिट्स एंड डिमेरिट्स. जातीयतावाद द्वारा कौन लाभ हो क्षति? फर्स्ट मेरिट कहबा. पॉइंट नंबर 1, इट इज पॉइंटेड आउट दैट नेशनलिज्म टेंड्स टू द प्रमोट यूनिटी among the members of the state. It is a strong feeling of a personal identification with national territory. आमे जने भारतीय हिसाब रे जेति गर्व करूछु जने पाकिस्तान हिसाब रे सेति गर्व करंती नाही जने अमेरिकीय हिसाब जेति गर्व करंती जने बांग्लादेशी हिसाब सेति गर्व करंती नाही तो देशर ब्रांड देशर नाम ब्रांड गोटे लोक को प्राउड फील करे थाए. Number 2, nationalism often offers dynamic force for the cultural and economic creativity. Cohen observes that the nationalist sees nationality of the source of all creativity, energy, and economic well-being. Thirdly, Nationalism contributes to the faith of subject nations struggling to through of align rules. Indian struggle to independence are of truth of this statement. ଭାରତର ଯେତେବେଳେ ବ୍ରିଟିଶ ମାନେ ରାଜୁତ କରୁଥିଲେ ସେତେବେଳେ ମହାତ୍ମା ଗାନ୍ଧୀ ଭାରତୀୟ ମାନଙ୍କୁ ଜାତୀୟତାବାଦ ମନ୍ତ୍ର ଶିଖାଇଲେ ଏବଂ ଭାରତୀୟ ମାନେ ଉତ୍ଥାପନ ହେଲେ ବ୍ରିଟିଶ ମାନଙ୍କୁ ଭାରତରୁ ବିଦା କରିଦେଲେ। ଯିବା demerits of the nationalism. First one, nationalism responsible for the failure of attempts to organize the world for peace and human freedom, as indicated by the failure of League of Nations. এই ଜାତୀୟତାବାଦୀ କାରଣରୁ ପ୍ରଥମ କରି ଗଠନ ହୋଇଥିବା ଲିଗ୍ ଅଫ୍ ନେସନ୍ ତାହା କାର୍ଯ୍ୟକାରୀ ସକ୍ଷମ ହୋଇପାରିଲା ନାହିଁ, ତାହା ହିଁ ଫେଲ୍ୟୁର ହୋଇଥିଲା। Number two, it is an obstacle in the path of forming world government. Number three, nationalism also comes in the way of solving major international political, economic, and social problems. Number four, many writers regard it as the chief force behind war. Conclusion of the nationalism. Conclusion of the nationalism. The conclude we may say that in spite of various defects in the nationalism, there is no doubt there it is that it is a powerful force of the modern world. It is relatively new development that is only now coming into its own in much of the world. Organsky is rightly in this concluding remarks that to believe that nationalism will vanish because it is dangerous or that nations will wither away or there are better ways to the organizing mankind in native. तो नेशनलिज्म पढ़ला बेले आमे जहाँ देखिलु नेशनलिज्म ताहा देश ପାଇଁ आवश्यक ଅଛି ନା आवश्यक ନାହିଁ। One point among the nationalism, Marxist approach of nationalism. Marxian मतरे nationalism कौन से गोटे point छाड़देली कही दूची. The idea of the nationalism and the nation state had different connotation in Marxism. Marx declared that the societies were divided not on nationalist but non-class basis. The purpose of the state is the protection of vested interests of the dominant class, and as such as the state does not represent the nationality but the class interest. Writing about this own time, Karl Marx emphasized that although the capitalist liberal state talk of national interest, industrialization has created a working class which has universal interest irrespective of nationality, as a result of which the concept of nationality is almost dead in industrialized countries. Extreme nationalism is an ideological means which help in the class domination. It is a fiction created by the bourgeois class and is being used by it just as it used religion, ethics, democracy, freedom, science, art, or literature. He said that the working class has no nation It has universal class interests. The salvation of the working class led in the development of productive forces on a world scale which was not possible in the narrow sphere of a nation state. Hence, theoretically, Karl Marx and Engels gave the idea of abolition of nationalities, which according to them was creation of the middle class ideology. Karl Marx and ତାଙ୍କ ବନ୍ଧୁ ଏଞ୍ଜେଲ୍ସ ରାଷ୍ଟ୍ରହୀନ ବା ରାଷ୍ଟ୍ରବିହୀନ ସମାଜ ଗଠନ କରିବା ପାଇଁ ମତାମତ ଦେଇଥିଲେ। କାରଣ ନା ଏଇ ରାଷ୍ଟ୍ରବିହୀନ ସମାଜରେ ନା ପୁଞ୍ଜିପତି ବାଲା ଥିବେ ନା ସର୍ବହରା ଗୋଷ୍ଠୀ ଥିବେ, ସମସ୍ତେ ଏକାକାର ହୋଇଥିବେ। ଯଦି ସର୍ବହରା ମାନେ ଏକଛତ୍ରବାଦ ଶାସନ କରୁଥିବେ, ଯୋଉଠି କୌଣସି ରାଷ୍ଟ୍ରର ଆବଶ୍ୟକତା ପଡିବ ନାହିଁ କି ପୁଞ୍ଜିବାଦୀ ମାନଙ୍କର ଆବଶ୍ୟକତା ପଡିବ ନାହିଁ। ଜାତୀୟତାବାଦ ସେତେବେଳେ ସୃଷ୍ଟି ହେବ ଯେତେବେଳେ ସର୍ବହରା ଗୋଷ୍ଠୀମାନେ ଦେଶକୁ ରକ୍ଷା କରିବାରେ ଶାସନ କରିବାରେ ସକ୍ଷମ ହେଇପାରିବେ। ଏହା ଥିଲା କାର୍ଲ ମାର୍କ୍ସଙ୍କର ମତାମତ। ଆଉ ଗୋଟେ ପଏଣ୍ଟ କହୁଛି ନେସନ୍ସ ୱିଦାଉଟ୍ ଷ୍ଟେଟ୍, ଦ ଷ୍ଟେଟ୍ ୱିଦାଉଟ୍ ନେସନ୍। ନେସନ୍ସ ୱିଦାଉଟ୍ ଷ୍ଟେଟ୍ and state without nation। ଜାତି ଆଉ ରାଷ୍ଟ୍ର, ରାଷ୍ଟ୍ର ଆଉ ଜାତି ଦୁଇଟି ପରସ୍ପର ସହ ପରିପୂରକ ଅଟନ୍ତି। ଗୋଟିଏ ବିନା ଅନ୍ୟଟି କେବେ ତିଷ୍ଠି ପାରିବ ନାହିଁ। As a political principle, nationalism holds that the nation and the state should be the congruent. When the nation and the state are coexisting, the label is rarely used. It is assumed that all parties and groups are nationalists because the nation they represent is already transformed into a state. Here, nationalism serves as the unifying factor. However, there are many nations in the world which are without a state, and there are and have been states without a nation. For a proper understanding of nationalism, it is also important to understand that the nationalistic discourse is articulated in these states. Nationalism in a nation without state present substantially different political scenario depending upon the specific character of the nation state without which such nations are included। तो ଜାତି ଆଉ ରାଷ୍ଟ୍ର ଦୁଇଟା ପରସ୍ପର ଜଡ଼ିତ। ବର୍ତ୍ତମାନ ଚାପ୍ଟର 11 ସମାପ୍ତ ହେଇଯାଇଛି। ତେଣୁ ଆଜିର এই କାର୍ଯ୍ୟକ୍ରମ ବର୍ତ୍ତମାନ ସମାପ୍ତ ହେବାକୁ ଲାଗୁଛି। ଆସନ୍ତାକାଲି ଆମେ ଚାପ୍ଟର ୟୁନିଟ୍ 12 ପଢ଼ିବା। ୟୁନିଟ୍ 12 ସେ ନ୍ୟାସନାଲିଜିମ୍ ବିଷୟରେ ଅଛି। ଆସନ୍ତାକାଲି ସେଟାକୁ ଆମେ କଭର କରିବା। ତେଣୁ ଆଜି ପାଇଁ କ୍ଲାସ୍ ସମାପ୍ତ କରାଯାଉଛି। ଥ୍ୟାଙ୍କ ୟୁ ଏଭ୍ରିୱାନ୍। ଥ୍ୟାଙ୍କ ୟୁ ଟୁ ଅଲ୍। Thank you to all of you. This class is over. Thank you. Thank you.
Down.